On today's MotA-Apes, what has James Gunn done to the DCCEU? Is that what it's called now? I don't know.
There is fire, there is smoke.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we open cans of, what is that, Richard?
That's a White Claw.
A White Claw. It is 8:55 in the morning and you're White Clawing it. I love
It
being
is
here with you.
8:55 in the morning somewhere, and I
You know,
drink a White Claw.
Tomorrow I might go grab a beer from your downstairs.
That's
Yeah.
right.
All right.
So this is the podcast
Yeah.
where we break down every minute of the Planet of the
Hey,
Apes movies,
keep the
1
illusion
minute at
alive.
a time. That's Richard. That's Sean. I'm Todd.
Well,
You know,
as he was cracking one open during the opening talk, I just thought to myself, why don't you mute our mics during the opening?
because it's very simple.
Uh-huh.
If you want to give me the extra about $300 to buy the mixer with
money.
use, yeah.
Gotcha.
It comes down to
Moolah.
this, that we use a lot of the gear that I use in my quote-unquote music career, and I'm not going to invest in a mixer. I do have one over there, but the bad thing is these wonderful big boards that I have that Sean has even said to me, you have a lot of mixers.
Yeah.
They're unfortunately older, and they don't have USB outputs that would go into the computer. And then I'm not willing to pay the money to get the converter that goes into it.
Gotcha.
So that is why you got to hear Richard.
Todd's
opening
cheap,
his-
that's why.
I am
All
a
right.
cheap bitch. Good morning. How are
Good
you
morning.
guys?
Good
All
morning.
right.
We are sitting here north of Dallas in the 29-degree cold. That's cold for Dallas, is it not?
Yes.
It is.
And we're looking at colder next week.
Well,
Yeah.
am I-
Or this week, I guess.
is it this week? that it's coming?
Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
10 degrees on Thursday.
And I heard
night.
that there's a chance of snow for Dallas.
Well, now, have I said this before? I'm sure I've been saying it all week long. The average first day of snow in North Texas is December 25th.
Is it really?
And I remember this very distinctly. I've looked it up a few times because I will be at the store on Christmas Eve. And if snow is not coming down, we'll sometimes go to Sean and JJ's and snow will be on the ground at Sean and JJ's.
Really?
It stands out in my mind. Now, we haven't had it the last few years.
Yeah.
Legitimately, the last few years has been kind of a little snow lacking, except for the one random weather thing last February.
So my parents live about 50 miles north of here. So when you guys always like, we're almost by Oklahoma, I'm like, go with me and you'll be right by
You can
Oklahoma.
see that from there, yeah.
Well, it is the neighboring town to Oklahoma, but if it dusts here, it is the weirdest thing. We'll go up there and it's covered. It's that 50-mile difference, and plus they're also by a lake, and it's one of the largest lakes in the area, Lake Texoma. So I'm kind of worried getting up to see my mom, and my mom and dad are both kind of
Elderly.
yes,
They're up there.
and I'm like, can we get to them? So if it snows, Christmas may have a very, very different look here.
All right.
But that's where we are. We are now at minute 46.
I just love the fact people are going to hear us talking about Christmas, and it's going to be like February when they hear that.
It is, but
Yeah.
that's part of the truth of this. We have to record these way ahead so that we can release them to you. But there it is. Merry Christmas,
Yeah.
everyone. Happy Hanukkah, happy
Well,
Kwanzaa, whatever.
I listen to our episodes as we post them, and we're talking about stuff a year ago. It's like we're talking about.
Movies, and we talk about media.
Yeah.
Well after the media is long gone, and they've already like.
Oh,
shot
we're talking
airing
about
season 2.
trying to watch Stranger Things. That's what we're talking about. That stuff is coming out right now.
Well, where it hit me when I, because again, I edit and post each one of these, and I try to skim through it, right? And it got to when my band released our album.
And you were putting the music at the
and
end?
I was like, hey, this is our new album. Go listen to it. We released that album like a year ago. And I was like, holy shit, is it really taking us a long time to get to this point?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that enough catch up?
All right, yes, I
And
think
we did
so.
that. We actually landed on 4/19, which is my wife's birthday. That was 4 minutes and 19
there you
cents.
go.
So it's like the perfect place to shine.
Let's
Tell
do
us
it.
what's going on with minute 46.
All right, we're going to start minute 46 with Thade panting and ends with Ari saying, I can't.
Thade panting. I can't wait to hear that. Marky Mark and the Planet of the Apes, minute 46.
She had no choice. They threatened her life. I'll report the matter to the Senate myself. They'll beat their chests and ask for my help.
They are weak without you, sir.
brave man.
What do you know about my father? Let me go.
They will be here soon. There's still time to go back.
I can't.
As in minute 48, we have a Oberon's worth of apes and humans, 2 displaced pods worth of humans and apes, wild humans, ape cities, minus 2 gorillas, and humans still on the loose.
All right, we have a lot of cross-cutting between Thade and what is Michael Clark Duncan's character's name?
I don't think we've officially been given a name for him.
Atar.
Why can I not remember the names this time?
No, I list their names as they are introduced, and they have not given his name yet.
Okay.
We only know Ari, Limbo, David Warner is a senator, but we've not been given a name, and Senator Nato, the orangutan. Nobody else's ape names have been given.
So we cross-cut between Atar and Thade back and forth. Tim Roth doing a nice bit of acting, you know, putting his hand on the chest plate of Atar. I really, it's almost like, you know, you can tell they're partners in that moment, except that I control you. I'm the one holding you. I really like that. We cross-cut back and forth between the two of them until we see the bursting outside of our intrepid band of fleers as they come out into a very nice wide shot, kind of matte painting-ish type thing. Is that an ape?
Yeah,
it's
big
like an
ape
ape's mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk about that.
You can see the city in the back silhouetted. Then we start getting into, again, cross-cutting between all of our characters with a very weird moment and cut of Helena deciding to scream at Estella. And then we do cross-cutting. So we're still in this moment of we're stopping down to let our characters tell us their place in the world. Very, very normal movie type thing. There's not a lot to break down visually. Let's go back to the top of it. The conversation between Thade and HR.
Why is Thade covering for Ari? Like they
He's in
force
love with her, I guess.
Because
Right.
I mean, I have not watched Ford. Don't not remember how. I mean, remember how the movie ends, but I don't remember what's going to happen. But like, I'm waiting for the inevitable heel turn where he finds her and I covered for you, and you don't love me, and then he's going to betray her.
Yeah, and I think that again, you can see the traces of. At some point, there was a logic to this movie, and whatever that thing was when they tried to rush it to production to beat the strike, it feels like they thought, well, this didn't work, this doesn't work, we don't want to do that, and they started ham-fistedly putting it together. Because were Sean's scenario correct, this moment would be everything to this movie. It's you know, he is protecting her for some reason. Is she carrying his child? Is it what, you know? If those things were explored, that could be fantastic.
Well, we also have the addition that he is going to use this to get the Senate's help for something.
True.
Yeah, very convenient.
But
that
it
these
doesn't really
humans-
explain to me why he's so powerless. Like there's an aspect of what is he if he had said something maybe about needing
Senate
this
has restricted my power, or taken
against
away
the
my
human-
ability
against
to do this
to
or
do
whatever.
against the humans, right?
If we'd seen that before this,
if we even just a little bit of dialogue about the fact
Right.
that he wants to control the human threat or danger or
In the old
population.
days, we would have blah blah blah. We would have
And this will give me
slaughtered them
power in
all.
the Senate, or give
I
me
mean,
power
think
with
about
the Senate.
Ursus in the original films. If you know, when he had that was one thing that we constantly said. Even though you could tell they stripped away the budget from each one of those films, you still, each character had a place in that world, and they had even Virgil, who almost seemed like too convenient in the last film of the smart one that knew everything. He was still a character that had a reason and a purpose, and you understood it. Thade, you're right, doesn't have that. And what I wonder about, if you read about screenwriting, that Sitfield, the famous guy that broke down everything, that you either love him or hate him, called this minute the pinch number one. Roughly 45 minutes, a character's going to say something, and it's meant between the massive plot points. You've done something to. In Star Wars, you've blasted off Alderaan, and it's whenever in Star Wars 45 is when Obi-Wan gets Luke to train with the lightsaber on the Millennium Falcon. That's then going to pay off at page 70 when Obi-Wan dies. Luke now trusts in the Force. He gets the Force, and so it builds it. I wonder if this is going to pay off, because it has that feeling like, where did this come from? And is it page 70 this going to somehow relate to something and push us? I want to watch that simply because of the whole idea that this screenplay seems very cobbled together.
I needed a little more detail as to how this is going to
Agreed.
help him in the Senate, and She had no choice. She was terrified. They threatened her for her life. That's very, very convenient language when he's trying to protect somebody or manipulate a situation for someone. I need a little more something to drive home his motivation here.
Especially, wouldn't it have been great in the Senate if we had that scene, if both Ari and he were in that scene together, so now he could be kind of talking about that, because if, I saw her myself, she had no choice, they threatened her life, now he's construing a lie where he's almost he could be covering for her, then to expose her.
If this were in front of the Senate, that would have a lot more power.
It would.
Even just, you could even leave this moment and have him go into...
And I can even see a way where he's talking to Michael Clark Duncan, and he goes, "I'm going to need a sacrifice from you." And then you cut away.
Yeah.
And then you go to the Senate, and you go, the humans have escaped, and they've even injured my number one man. And you cut to Michael Clark Duncan, and he's got part of his arm cut off,
or
and
his
he's
face is scratched.
Yeah, it's like the humans did this to me.
Yeah.
He's lost an eye or something. That Ari did this. I mean, not Ari. That.
If
her father did this to him,
I'd even like to see Thade with a, and that's the cut you come out of it.
Even if her father, the senator, were to ask about her, and you could see him go, "She had no choice. She was terrified. They threatened her life." Like he's now saying to her father exactly what's going on. I mean, it's just these are okay. This situation is fine. It just could be amped up a lot more, and I wanted a little more background as to what he's trying to do ultimately.
Agreed. So after this little exchange between the two of them, we get our
escape.
Our escapee. Oh, excuse me. The nice little hiccup. Our escapees bursting out into the open. Great. So this is correct. Let's be fair. This is what we should see. We've concentrated on somebody else. We don't have to watch these people. And then when we see them, they've progressed far on. However, this doesn't work for me for a simple reason. Why? If there was something blocking the path,
somebody knows that's there and boarded it up and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I
want to know what it is.
What I'm saying is something needed to have stopped the apes from going after, instead of just Thade wanting to pontificate.
Oh yeah.
There needs to have been
nobody chased them down.
They pulled a barrier down that they couldn't get past, or something.
I got you. Yeah, they collapsed the cave behind them. Yeah.
I'm just left thinking, what's this thing about the Senate? Why are they just standing here and not going after them?
Yeah,
now they're
didn't
here.
send anybody after them.
Again, you could have fixed this by Thade stopping the advancing troops
could do that too.
And saying, "Call the Senate" or something like that.
Let them go.
Call the
Senate.
They can't get far. Or there's nothing out there for them to get to, or something like that.
I know that the three of us have talked about that. You break down any movie by minute, you can probably look at elements where it's like, why didn't they do this? This movie is just so full of these moments where it's like, why did they stop? What do we have a reason why they stopped? Is there even a
They
hint?
never even started. It was just Michael Clark Duncan running down, fighting with Chris Christopherson. Thade shows up and doesn't. We're supposed to think he's dead, but he's not dead. Come on, he's not dead. And then they just talk. Yeah. They never send anybody, send some scouts after them. And then you see the scouts come out, and then Ari's friend, who we haven't been named either, her major domo or whatever he is, fights those two scouts to come out and kills them or whatever. And
they were supposed to have a little more dialogue after they cut, talking specifically about her servant.
Okay.
And what were they supposed to say?
Has she taken the silverback with her? Yes, sir. I trust that will not be a problem for you. No, sir. As of now, he is a criminal.
Because it's a gorilla. The gorilla is like, you're not going to have a problem with another gorilla, right?
Okay, like Sean, I have not watched ahead. I remember a lot of this, but I remember the end, and that's about it. I think that's in there somewhere, so maybe they pull that and put it elsewhere, because I swear that he talks about...
Does he?
Like, there's a history amongst them.
I watched this at the beginning, but it's a little fuzzy in terms of like where this is at.
You cut up
because they talk more about... Because in the next minute, they'll even... Ari will talk more about him, and that conversation's not there either. So I don't know if they're holding it out for later on down the line.
I think it's in there. I seem to remember that.
Okay.
So I don't know where that comes. Let's talk about the exterior matte painting-ish thing with the gorilla in the middle of everything.
This is probably
Gorilla
the
head.
most gorgeous thing I think I've seen the entire film.
I thought so too. When it went to it, I was like, Jesus, I want more of this.
But it also leads to question. This looks like lava, right? Or is
It
just
is.
me?
By the way, they do exit lava.
Yeah. So somebody had to shape this gorilla head while the lava was still hot, or
not necessarily. Think of it, maybe it formed into a big pile and they chiseled it away almost like Mount Rushmore.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, exterior shot lava.
Because everything else is very
an old
flat
stone
around
cistern
it.
and
100%,
spring house. The heavy wooden door shakes, can't be moved.
What I kind of wished, I wish Leo would have come upon these kind of things in the lava before he got captured. I mean, imagine that scary
I've
looking
seen
thing.
a big ape face made out of lava, and you don't know what's going on. Yeah.
It's almost like those X's in the original film when that were up on the horizon. And
and you don't the
Forbidden Zone.
scarecrows. Or whatever,
You don't know what those are, and it kind of lives. Number one, it tells you there's a society here. There's something that's happened. That would do the same with this.
I mean, this is a great little. What is this? Was this an archival project? Were they digging something out of this? I mean, this gave me that kind of sense that this was something older that's been left behind. Ari would use this to escape the city from time to time to come out to this area with the sea and the lava.
Right.
But it's just fascinating. I want to know what this was meant to be.
Absolutely.
If Ari could have said a little bit more about what it was, because it's shaped like a gorilla's head.
Yeah,
and
it is.
It's just gorgeous.
I'm thinking of we're going to have fun where we imagine what could have been. So let's say the beginning of the film, we do see one of these scary ape-looking things. You talking about how Ari uses this. How do you set that up? We let us see this beforehand, that she's sitting outside somewhere. Imagine Leo in his journey to the city, a la the first film, if maybe we see that ape head and it just pans over, and we see the shape of someone watching him. Number one, we don't even have to see Ari's face at that point. If she saw Leo, now she knows he is different. Why is he coming from this area? Humans don't come from out there. It would allow us to have moments of tying it together. All of the first film, where if you remember the people kind of following them, the savages, why didn't they do some stuff like that? And it just, again, it's like you can't expect there to be history if you're not going to somehow let me see that history and work.
Well, we talked about last week or the week before about having been around when he was moving around before she saw him first in the city. And this is a perfect place to see her come and go from this area.
Agreed.
This very weird, unusual spot.
But it's a beautiful image.
It is.
You can, whoever, did the pre-pro design on this and whatnot, and then really realizing it needs to be translated into that silhouette image.
And nobody even really reacts to it either.
No.
Yeah, nobody turns.
We're just walking outside now.
Yeah.
Okay, if we don't set up the thing like I'm talking about first, shouldn't Leo look back and go, holy
I
shit?
bet to say Leo turns around. Does everything have to be ape-based around here? Come on, man.
Just something.
That's a little on the nose, right?
So they all walk away from the escape hatch, and we get our two female leads fighting with each other. Now, I don't find Ari saying, hey, your dad was a good man, odd.
Which she's trying to comfort Dana. She's
Yes.
crying, so she reaches out her I found the shoulder touch odd. I almost would have liked her to stroke
To
her
pet
hair.
her hair, yeah, like
that
a
would have
pet.
been more interesting to me.
Maybe she's trying to really bridge that commonality that we're just creatures alike.
Right.
What I love in this moment is Helena's attempt to look like that typical ape face, or with the wide open mouth. She pulls it off. I mean, the teeth are there. Now, I do find the cut really weird because it goes from a one shot to right into, and we see their arms flying around. I wanted to see her in a full shot instead of just a close up within it. I wanted to see that ominous.
Right.
But we don't get that.
Yeah. So after Dana says, "You know nothing of my father," you hear the Ari shriek in the audio, but it's just this. To Todd's point, it's just this. Helena Bonham Carter's hands go up above, like she's
Out of
about
the
to
frame.
strike, and her teeth come out, and it's just a very menacing moment, just a terrifying moment. And to your point, we don't really get to see the full image as much as I would have liked.
It would have been nice at that point to see some reaction shots. Maybe what's Estella's character's name? Dana.
We don't know. It's not been said in the movie. He knows because of the script.
Estella,
Yes.
let's say in this, when she goes to shriek, is pushed down. And then we see her in a primate mode And Leo even sees that this woman's been nice. There's a delicious moment for you to see a complexity of a character, and she could put her hands down like, I've allowed my ape self to come out. But it's just all but ignored. She doesn't. It's like, okay.
Have you ever seen a chimpanzee when they really get angry and want to fight or something? Like all the hair on them stands up and also if you're male, they get like a rage boner. I want to see an angry chimpanzee. All of a sudden you just see him go, and he's like, oh crap, I got to adjust my pants. Sorry.
Sean makes porn of the apes.
So a question in the script, when Ari with stunning speed, Ari flashes her canines and slaps Dana to the ground. Do we actually see that slap happen? Because it looks like
no,
because she just
kind of puts her hands up and then
it just looks like she falls over.
back.
Because that threw me a little bit. Because that would be a little more intense if she'd knocked her to the ground versus her just falling backwards.
I mean, you could say maybe because of the way it's framed, she might have hit her out of frame.
Yeah.
So you can see it either way. You can see her just falling back because she's surprised, or you could see it as her getting hit.
So what you see is Ari going in her one shot, her hands go up, and you see Estella's arm come through the frame. So we know something's happened. But then, oddly, it cuts to Estella's, over the shoulder of Ari to Estella, Leo turning back to it. It's not so bad, except then when they go back to it, it's a 3-shot from Leo's perspective of her falling. Why did they not rehearse this moment? It's like, should you not have seen that what we need is when she does it to cut to her falling right away, because it's all drama. The scene is kind of pulled out of it because we stay in these tight ones, and it's like.
And again, we get the beautiful shot of Ari shrieking, and then it just kind of falls apart after that.
And it is a beautiful shot. I love that shot of her face. But then what's weird is then when Leo picks up Estella, he just sort of does it in the nonplussed, hey, I'll pick you up here. Instead of he should look at Ari and go, oh my God, why are you getting this angry over this? And see her true self. Say something about that we all hide a self within us that we try to suppress, but we can't,
When Leo
it's a lost moment.
When Leo helps Estella to her feet, Estella's supposed to say, let me go, and run off. And then Ari's supposed to look back at the city, at the life she has put in jeopardy. And then with the line that the Silverback says, Thade will be here soon. There's still time to go back. And she kind of finishes him saying, I can't. He doesn't really give her that option in the script. It goes, move quickly, Thade will be after us soon.
Looking at that when she gets up and she runs away, Leo again just giving the look of what the fuck instead of horror. He is supposed to be us in a foreign world, the thing we're scared of. I've been watching that show on Netflix, 1899. Have y'all seen that?
Oh my God.
We'll talk about it later. But
oh yeah,
at least in that, there is a sense of dread that kind of almost has its fingers.
Oh, it just permeates the entire set. Yeah, all of it.
This scene should have dread. This scene should have fear, and there's nothing. And nothing. The proof of it is then when you go to, let's see, that's 48 seconds. It cuts back to Helena. Mm-hmm. This is a woman who could kill any scene you give her. Because look at
she's crying. She's devastated that she just hurt this person and reacted this way.
She loves the humans.
That would be even so much more red had we seen the struggle between her falling down, hurting herself, Leo trying to help her up. Like, how could you do this? Those elements lend to this. But when we cut back to it, why is she sad? We don't really.
Well, and okay, so when Dana says "let me go" because Leo's supposed to help her to retreat, it'd be more interesting if Ari had come down to try and help her.
Yes,
yeah,
and she goes "let me go," and then Helena has a reason to pull back and cry.
And anything like that allowed for this moment to breathe. So we saw the reaction of your action cause her to hurt herself and fall down. Leo doesn't understand. He sees a little bit concerned or afraid, and then reaching that hand. All of that builds together to her sadness, but instead, we're left to interpret her sadness instead of seeing it, and that that's kind of sloppy.
If that had happened, if she had reached down to help her and Estella had rejected her, and Leo pulls her back, and she's kind of in horror of Helena would have a reason to think, what have I cannot go with these people. What have I done? I need to go back home. Like what am I committing myself here to?
And this all leads me to, because I'm also thinking Netflix, I finally tried to watch some of Wednesday, and how you said it was watchable, I couldn't get through 30 minutes. Even though I love Jenny Ortega. I think that young woman is an amazing actress. I was just like,
Well, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No. She the thing is that there was such a great nuance in the way Christina Ricci played the Wednesday character, and they have her playing it straight.
It is very straight.
And in doing so, it comes across lifeless and dead, but not in a funny way.
That's exactly what I thought. And I thought, here
The
you're
lines
taking,
are great. The situations are great.
You're taking this young woman who I think is an amazing young actress.
Well, no, she's also phenomenal. She's not. The director isn't bringing it out what they need out of her.
That's it. She's delivering 100% what you asked her to do, and what you guided her to do.
You're wrong.
But it's just like I thought the same thing. I'm not laughing at these lines that should seem darkly funny.
Right.
So that's where I get back to this. He gets good performances out of people. I mean, Mars Attacks has good ones. I still think Sweeney Todd has good performances. This just seems, give me the paycheck and let's go. I could be wrong, but that's the way it feels in this movie.
Ari and Thade are the only two actors consistently delivering things
100%.
that I just want to watch.
Well, the silverback that's her major domo, like Sean called it, he's interesting.
I don't know enough about him.
I think that he has a presence, and I when he's in there, I know what to expect of him.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where we left. You know, and this whole time we get to see the all these actors interacting within the lava set, and that is a pretty set. It's well lit. It's interesting to look at least, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I think that's about it for minute 46. Say that again, Todd. Minute 46. You guys got anything?
Nope.
No.
All right, that's it. We'll be back tomorrow. Everyone have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.